Welcome to the first official episode of what is now called Kill All Fish.
Every time you say that, I think of Bender. Kill all humans.
The name was suggested by somebody in the comments of the pilot episode, so I'll put their name at the bottom so I can give them credit. Kill All Fish is an improv game show where you argue the impossible and the absurd. I am Brad, and I'm joined today by Nisha.
Hello.
So we have 3 rounds, and the winners of those rounds will be voted on by our lovely patrons. We're going to begin with our first round. Believe it or not. Believe it or not is a round where one of us has to argue a prompt given to them by the other, which is utterly ridiculous. So, impossible to argue, but we'll find a way. You can go first today. Nisha will have 1 minute to argue this point. So I need to think. Oh, we didn't even think of the theme. This episode has a theme.
Yeah.
The theme of this episode is animated movies. So Nisha, you have 1 minute to argue that How to Train Your Dragon is actually set underwater.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Brad.
Your time starts now.
So, How to Train Your Dragon is actually set underwater. Because imagine it, like, they're not actually flying, they're swimming.
Ah.
The dragons can't actually fly, they swim. The Vikings actually, like, live in sort of like a bubble. You know, like an air bubble. Sat at the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
And the dragons, they can swim and breathe underwater, so they can swim around the ocean. Yeah, and it's blue. Like, it looks like you see the blue sky is actually the blue ocean. You know, the Vikings are big fans of water, so it would make sense for them to live in a water environment. And it's like really a minute already.
Well, I think you've made a very convincing case.
It went better than I thought.
Let's recap. Dragons can't actually fly.
No, they swim. Instead, it's swimming.
They're swimming.
You think they're flying, they're actually swimming.
And because the sky is blue, it's actually water.
And also Vikings like the water, so they thrive in that environment.
I'm convinced.
But because they are people, they have to breathe air, but they live in a bubble. So my prompt for you is Zazu from The Lion King is actually a robot built to destroy all the wildlife. So your time starts now.
Zazu from The Lion King, everyone thinks he's just this innocent bird. But he's actually a robotic spy sent there to destroy the wildlife. There's loads of hints for this, loads of clues. But the biggest one is, why does Mufasa die? Mufasa dies because he goes to where the stampede is and gets killed. Now, who reported that to him? Who was the one who sent him there knowing it was dangerous? The king has more important duties to the landscape than going and stopping his son from getting trampled. He has to think about the bigger world. He can make more sons. He's got a full harem. But no, Zazu intentionally got him killed so that the entire Pride Lands would then be overrun by famine and death and shit. And that was his plan all along. And that was why he was in prison, because Scar found out. Oh, 10 seconds left.
10 seconds left.
He's also voiced by Rowan Atkinson, who is British. And as we know, British people are always the villains in films. I rest my case.
Yeah, very convincing argument. Yeah, I can believe Mufasa would care more about the landscape of the land than saving his own son's life.
He should. That's what a real king would do. It's Mufasa's fault that everybody died, basically.
It's Mufasa's fault.
Yeah, because he abandoned his post as king to go and save his son. He put his personal feelings above that of the kingdoms and the Pride Lands.
Simba couldn't wait to be king, so I have to save him. His future king.
That song's such a dickish thing. I can't wait for my dad to die.
Oh god, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna really think about it. So round 2 is called Pick a Side, and it's where we get a prompt and the other person rings the bell, and every time they ring the bell, you have to change your argument. So you're for, then against, then for, and against. So it gets a bit chaotic, and we'll be picking prompts from a fishbowl.
The fishbowl is full of ideas that we have added. In future, we'll be asking patrons to suggest ideas, and then the fishbowl will be full of ideas, so we won't know what we're going to get. So, I will be arguing initially for and then against. Wallace is better than Gromit.
So do we have a time for this?
I think we just have so many bells. I think that's how we should count this one.
How many bells?
We'll say that you have I guess 10 bells. Wallace and Gromit are usually seen as a pair.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at them, there's a bit of an imbalance. Wallace is an inventor. He makes things. He builds things that go all around the house and builds things that go out into the world. All of the jobs they've had, they've used his inventions for. They did the window cleaning. They did the anti-pesto stuff that he made all the traps. Gromit does fuck all. Gromit doesn't say anything. He barely does anything. He just sits around fixing the messes that Wallace makes. Think about all of the scenarios. It's Wallace doing something stupid and Gromit having to come in and sort it out. Even the motion picture film, Wallace went and got himself infected by trying to fix a problem, and Gromit ended up having to be the one to save him multiple times throughout the course of that film.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
The were-rabbit was very cute, and I think we all need to bear in mind that sometimes cuteness is worth the mistakes. And Wallace he also is quite cute. Like, what in number of instances Wallace has managed to pull somebody, because Wallace is just quite suave, surprisingly, for a man. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about which one of them is better. And the womanizing whore that is Wallace is not better than the amazing little pooch. Gromit is supposed to be a dog, but Gromit is clearly the smarter of the two. If Gromit... I've always got like a plot thread I'm going for, and then you flip me. Gromit's supposed to be a dog. So why does he not do dog things? Why does he seem to do human things? Because he's a loser who isn't actually a dog. He's a man dressed as a dog who's pretending to be Wallace's dog, and and that's just a little bit weird. It's like he eats out of a dog bowl, and he dates that other dog in Loaf and Death, I think it was. If you remember that one.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So, why would he do that when he's actually just a person in a dog suit? It's because Wallace is so useless that somebody else needs to be around. And who better than a man in a dog suit? He can infiltrate. Because Wallace is clearly a genius when it comes to building stuff. But he's so shit at applying his builds that he obviously just needs to stop building and just let people appreciate him for what he is, which is a great, sexy, cheese-loving man. And it's a bit shitty that his best friend in the world is just some dirty mutt who just... Gromit doesn't have a job. Gromit sometimes helps Wallace with work, but Gromit doesn't bring in any money. He doesn't bring in any cheddar, because all the cheddar needs to go to Wallace. Because... Which side am I on now?
What? That's the thing with this, you don't know what side you're on.
You keep forgetting halfway through.
Something I don't know who you're against anymore.
I don't...
Against Wallace and Gromit. What was the prompt? Wallace is better than Gromit.
Yeah, Wallace is better than Gromit.
We'll do that again.
The two of them, like, look at them. One of them is a tall, strapping man who wears beautiful cardigans, and is it a cardigan? He wears...
Yeah, it's like a vest thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Gromit wears nothing, the fucking pervert, flashing everybody all day. But I would too if I had a body like that, that dog body. I was saying about Wallace being a charmer. No, Gromit's the charmer. Everybody likes Gromit. Wallace is like that bumbling idiot who wanders around doing things wrong, and Gromit's the one who has to fix the mess. That's why Gromit is way better than Wallace. If you asked everybody who their favourite of the two was, they would always say Gromit. But I would not. And I don't think they should either. Gromit is one of those characters that manipulates you into thinking that he's a good person, that he knows what he's doing. But when actually, he's the biggest mess up of them all. I bet Wallace, all of his stuff would have gone well if Gromit wasn't even there. If Gromit didn't exist, Wallace's inventions would never have gone wrong. Nothing would have gone... Like, he could have cleaned the windows perfectly. In fact, if Gromit wasn't there, Wallace would have cleaned the windows himself and not sent Gromit to do it. And Gromit did a half-assed job, and they don't get paid enough money, and they have to live at Wallaby Street. I've lost where I am again.
That was the last spell.
That can be the end. It's so much harder when you're actually trying to get going.
Yeah.
Your turn. Let's see what you get.
One that I've written. Sully is best friends with Shrek. Sorry, Mike.
You gave yourself a difficult one there.
I was hoping you'd get it.
Just mashing two franchises together. Okay. Well, off you go.
So, yeah, Sully is actually best friends with Shrek, or better friends with Shrek than Mike, because They have a lot in common. Like, they both like big and monstrous. Also, I think Sully has a thing for green monsters because like Mike's green, Shrek's green, but he has more in common with Shrek than he does Mike. You know, he looks after Boo. Shrek looks after Donkey and his kids. Mike is just anti-child. I don't know. He doesn't give me the vibes that he likes kids, so... but he might. I mean, he's got a girlfriend, Celia. I don't know why we're talking about Mike.
He'd have some weird kids.
They would have some very weird kids. But yeah, he's been going out with Celia for a long time, so they might have children. So he could actually be good. And he could be a better friend for Sully, because, you know, they're in the same franchise. Like, Shrek's in DreamWorks.
In a swamp.
And in a swamp. I don't think Sully would appreciate living there. Plus, Shrek wears clothes. Like, Sully doesn't wear clothes. So there are... Well, I mean, it doesn't matter, because Sully can borrow Shrek's clothes. And
They're the same size.
the same size. So, you know, like, Shrek's there to give him hand-me-downs if he needs them. Yeah, and I'm not sure. What does Sully eat? So I think he probably eat the same thing as Shrek. Yeah, he eyeballs and stuff. Yeah. This is so bad. This is so good.
Going very well.
Like I said, he can borrow his clothes anytime. And he probably knows where, like, all the good shops are as well. So, like, I don't think they have any shops in Monsters Inc. So Shrek can be his, what's it called? Fashionista.
Shrek's ever been referred to as a fashionista.
Well, in this instance, he is, because he actually wears clothes. Or he can make his own clothes. Shrek makes his own clothes, so he's shit. He's shit with fashion, but, you know, it's better than being naked all the time. But it's fine, because Sully's got fur, so he covers everything he needs to. So he doesn't need clothes, he doesn't need Shrek, really. He's fine with Mike. Being naked buddies with Mike, it's fine, he doesn't need Shrek. And But Shrek is so funny, he's got a great Scottish accent.
Scottish?
You know, he's got Donkey. Donkey's amusing, so I think Donkey and Sully would get along very well. And he's not whiny like Mike is, so... but that's what makes Mike... That's what makes... My God. That's what makes Mike charming, is his constant whining. I'm sure Sully loves putting up with it. That's why they've been working since university or college or school. The timeline's a bit in the films. But yeah,
I think I've definitely hit 10
I
by
don't.
now.
Well, that was a train wreck.
That prompt is fucking awful. Why would you do that to you or me?
Sometimes you think, oh, that's a great idea. Then when you come to think of it, I actually know.
That would have been a great one for the first round, where you have to argue that Sully and Shrek are better friends than Shrek and Donkey or Sully and Mike. Because that's like, you know, an impossible kind of thing to argue. Then you could have argued that they wear each other's clothes. See, the thing is, though, on the Patreon votes, people might vote for you simply because you got a worse prompt and made something of it. My prompt was easy. Anyone can like one of them more than the other. So the final round, and my personal favourite, is Die on This Hill. This round involves both of us. We will draw a prompt from the fishbowl, and the idea is that one of us has to argue one side, one argues the other side. So same as the previous round, except simultaneously. And as the name suggests, we have to die on that hill. You are not allowed to give up. We'll set a timer for this. We'll say like 5 minutes. And again, people on the Patreon are going to be able to vote for who they think argued their side the best. Now, there's a chance that one of us will get fucked over with this if the prompt ever ends up being something that is definitely true. So, I will be arguing for... Simba is secretly Rafiki's son.
Okay, good luck with that.
You're arguing against that.
Well,
you have all the evidence.
I have the easy job.
Right, and our time starts now. Simba is secretly Rafiki's son.
How is that possible?
It's extremely obvious. Do you ever see Simba getting born? No. You never see him actually being born. You just see the baby. Rafiki's already there. And she walks through, doesn't he? Rafiki comes because he's found out about the birth of his child. It was an illegitimate birth. Like, Rafiki had an affair with Simba. What's Simba's mum? Natiri, is it?
Sarabi.
Sarabi, Natiri's Avatar. Simba's mum, Sarabi, had an affair with Rafiki, and that's what happened.
But surely Simba would not look like a lion, like a full-on lion, if he was part Rafiki.
Well, as clearly the lion genes are stronger than the not mandrake. What is he? Mandrill.
Baboon?
Mandrill.
No, is he?
The mandrill genes are weak. The dominant genes in that relationship come from the lion, because why wouldn't they?
If he was part Rafiki's son, Mufasa would know, and Rafiki would be dead.
Mufasa doesn't
He'll
know
be
anything.
dead.
Mufasa's a shit king.
Why is he?
We talked earlier about how he abandoned his kingdom to go die in a cavern, in like
Yeah,
a
but that was just
crevice.
stupid, because that doesn't make any sense, though.
It makes perfect sense. Rafiki has this weird connection with Simba that's never explained. Like, when Simba's first born and he draws a little picture of him, why would he do that? Why do you have a picture? Why would you have a picture of someone else's kid?
It probably goes back generations, because he does it in The Lion King too.
Oh, actually, I think, well, that's because it's his grandkid. Actually, if you look at that tree that he's painted on, there's no drawing of Mufasa on there. There's no drawing of Scar or any other children. There's just one drawing of Simba. Why would he do that? Simba is his son.
Not. No.
And then when Simba disappears, see how happy he was when he found out Simba is alive. He's like so happy.
because he's king.
Ecstatic.
Because he doesn't want Scar
No, not
to be
king.
king.
Kin. His child.
No.
His child has
No,
returned,
king.
and who's the first person who goes to collect him to bring him back to take his rightful place? When I say rightful place, that's because Rafiki actually wants to take over the Pride Lands, and that's why he put the robot Zazu in to do it.
No, he goes to collect him because it's easier for him to hide and get in trees and hide from light enemies than it is for, say his mum to come and fetch him.
So you're saying that Rafiki is very good at hiding?
Don't
Simba
even...
hid for his entire life. I wonder where he got that from, because Mufasa wasn't good at hiding, was he? The evidence is overwhelming.
How is... It's not evidence, it's just stuff you're, imagining.
Have you ever heard of Rule 34?
Yes.
So, somewhere out there, somebody has drawn
doesn't
that
mean it's
scene.
true, though.
I think that if there's pictures of it, it's true. Someone's Googling that right now. I think I have very little else to say. I think that I have proven, without a shadow of a doubt...
It's just hard to argue against it because it's just obviously not true. I don't know what else I can say. Clearly, that's not true. Because it just wouldn't work.
Have you ever seen it?
I think Mufasa would just kill him before he'd get around the
Mufasa didn't know.
But how would he not know, though?
Because he wouldn't.
How would he not know?
Because
where would they do it?
Well, no. What do you mean? Where would they do it? Mufasa was out ranging, doing his doing his kingly duties, and Sarabi was like, monkey, get up on me.
Yeah, but I feel like they've got a good sense of smell, right? He would just smell something.
We're out of time. Let's just leave it on whether Mufasa could smell his wife cheating.
How is it harder then to fucking argue against?
Well,
that?
I think it's because to argue for something stupid means that my points don't need to make sense because they're not going to. Whereas you just have to argue, you basically have to argue against the nonsense I put out rather than arguing because. Obviously.
This makes this because I think it's such an obvious that's not going to be the case because this would happen.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know what evidence to show because it's obviously not going to be true.
Well,
that was a mess.
This was Kill All Fish. I'm Brad. That's Nisha, and
That's Nisha.
That thing right there. And we've mentioned the Patreon a few times. The Patreon is now where we are getting all of our funding from to run this channel and to help over on Fact Fiend. So if you like this kind of stuff, support us there. Any little helps. And obviously, if you want to get the tiers where you can vote, you can choose which of us argued the best.
I think this round is definitely you.
And we're going to be doing more of these, maybe getting different people in, and hopefully they'll improve over time. The setup at the moment is just really rugged green screens, so if my hand keeps disappearing, it's because of that.
There you go. Enjoy.
Just disappearing to the side. And remember everybody, Wallace and or Gromit are better. Shrek is apparently best mates with Sully.
Poorly explained, yes.
And Rafiki is doing everyone's wives.
No.
Once again, we are here to say a big thank you to our patrons. As you can see scrolling past you right now, our supporters, big thank you to them, but even bigger thank you to our VIPs. And a special way of thanking them, we are going to go through some of the top movies on IMDb as if made by the USC.
So, the number one film on the list is The Patrick Bratson Redemption.
Oh, great movie. Number 2, The Benjamin Fridman Father.
Number 3, we have The Dog Shay Pinder.
Ooh. Number 4, The Mile High Farm D Father Part 2.
At number 5, we have 12 Angry Sarapol.
12.
Shut up.
Number 6, a masterpiece, is Liam List.
At number 7, oh god, there's so many words in this one. At number 7, we have The Lord of the Aero QC, Return of the King.
Number 8, we have Jet Road Fiction.
Oh god. At number 9, we have Lord of the Rings, The Binger of the Ring. The Binger of the Ringer.
Do you want to say Fellowship of the Binger? That would be much easier. Number 10, The Good, The Bad, and The Kynan Plays Games.
At number 11, we have Little Bear Gump.
Number 12, Popsicle Tart Club. That's a great club.
Don't talk about Popsicle Club. Oh, not another Lord of the Rings film! Okay, so number 13, we have Lord of the Rings, The Rotoscope Towers.
There's only one word in this title.
Oh, yeah.
Number 14, Shinetchian. It's meant to be Inception, I was wondering.
Synaptian. Number 15. Why do I have the long names? You have like the shortest name.
If one word, you have 20.
Star Wars Episode 5, The Andy Ellis Strikes Back.
The number, what are we on? Number 16, The Armite One-Atrix.
At number 17, we have Anna Goo Fellas. Or Good Anna Goo. Good Anna Goo.
Anna Goodfellas.
Oh my god, Anna Goodfellas.
Number 18, we have One Flew Over a Dinner DJ's Nest.
And I have also one word. At number 19, we have The Fezwerer Ven. It's supposed to be 7.
We didn't think this through, did we?
No.
At number 20, we have Joshua Knapp Samurai.
And finally, at number 21, we have It's a Wonderful Samuel Chesser.
Yes, it is. If you haven't heard your name, it'll be in one of the other videos. We have a lot of these patrons, so we record them in multiple segments now.
Wow, that was interesting.
Hope people enjoy these interesting readouts.
Yeah, it'll be different every month. So,
Every month.
It's going to get more ridiculous, I think.